Well, so liquefied natural gas, I think, is the contract that's being settled in yuan between Russia, China. So that's the first point. So all of the post-World War II dollar-based trade, after World War II, they went Bretton Woods, and Bretton Woods made everything based on the dollar. Everything had to use the dollar. Everyone wanted to trade oil and gas, had to use the dollar. And now, of course, these countries, the biggest countries, China, the BRICS, they're moving away from the dollar. So the dollar loses world reserve currency status, which is obviously very detrimental to the United States economy. But again, nobody seems to be talking about that really in earnest or seriously, or what it all means and how this impacts people's lives. And it's obviously inflationary. The inflation is not transitory, because the breakdown in the way the global economy is occurring outside of US dollar as world reserve currency means that the client states of America, which means every country that's not America, is going to start charging more for their stuff because they don't want dollars, right? It's very simple. Like, we don't want dollars. So it's going to cost more, or give us more dollars. We don't want it. So inflation's now intractable. Inflation's now systemically built in going forward. And that means quality of life is going to go down. It's axiomatically true that quality of life will go down. And there's no way that the GDP will ever rise to any equation where paying off deficit becomes a reality. So that's only going to grow exponentially. So
stupid voters who didn't understand it was my turn to be president. Like, let's punish those people, because that's what you saw. The results are like the actions. If you go back, like a Jeopardy question, you see the results. What was the question? Like, you're trying to find what the question is. Yeah. So you saw the thinking of what Hillary Clinton and the people around her thought is like, okay, we know on the surface they're blaming Russia and they attacked Putin, but in fact, their actions are mostly against the ordinary American people that didn't vote for her. And she hates them with a passion, and so did the whole Democratic Party. The deplorables.
So you're saying that the people who had authority suddenly lost authority, and they turned to authoritarianism out of spite.
Yes.
They become spiteful.
Yes.
So Hillary Clinton became spiteful.
Yes.
And her spitefulness is manifested by this increased authoritarianism, the surveillance state, and the absolute hatred.
Over to China, when Bill Clinton brought China into WTO on favored nation status. So they got to, they still operate under a developing nation. They still get to put tariffs on our goods in America, and we can't put tariffs on their goods, for example. So they did that. Bill Clinton did that. But it benefited hugely, massively, the coastal elite. You could see their wealth rise astronomically from 2001. And you see it all. I mean, everybody always points out to 1971, but it was really 2001 where you see it go exponential.
That's a key point you make there. 1971, when we went off gold, we went to pure fiat. And you're saying in the early 2000s was really the deindustrialization went into hyperdrive.
That's when it couldn't happen without all fiat. And this is the Triffin dilemma. Like, it was inevitable that this would happen. But originally, through the 80s and 90s, it did seem to be a situation where it seemed like everything was getting better for everybody. And even if there was some deindustrialization, that, the overall population would be better. But now, that's what the elites have done in the United States. They made choices themselves, and it benefited them greatly. And they feel guilty about it because they know it's them. They know that make America great again. I mean, Trump's phrase, make America great again, and the support he received in his rallies from people who had voted for President Obama and then voted for Trump, all the people, they pretend to be fucking stupid I'm sorry about the swearing, but it just really bugs me. But they know, Hillary knows, all of her operatives know. They know exactly what happened in 2016, and they know what the people rejected, and this is what they're responding to. They know they are the guilty people. They're the guilty parties. They're the reason for Trump. They're the reason that Trump it was a vessel for them to say, make America great again. That was a cry for help. They don't want to die in a pool of fentanyl overdose vomit. That's not how anybody wants to die. They want to be great again, right? And all they ever have offered them is they don't have a solution, right? And we know they don't have a solution because there is a solution and they know it, but they're not willing to do it.
The magazine likes to call it a social cohesion risk, is how they refer to mass rioting on the street.
Well, let's not talk about Paris right now, because I do want to talk about the looking glass. This was like a weird thing. It's like, okay, we mentioned that the mainstream media and all the institutions like Moody's, Fitch, the elite media of the United States, they totally missed the collapse of all their friends like Sam Bankman-Fried, their Ponzi schemes, all the New York regulated entities like Gemini and Genesis and all those companies, all starting with G and stuff like that. In New York City, they collapsed, right? So they missed all of that because they kept on pointing at us because we were succeeding here in El Salvador, right? So the Wall Street Journal did this like hit piece. They were like really aggressive with us and trying to get some quotes and blah, blah, blah. But here's the looking glass. I'm not going to talk about the article. Actually, I didn't read it because it's behind a paywall. So like if you're going to write a hit piece about somebody, right? Like I'm going to write a hit piece about you and then like hide it behind a paywall. It's like, nah. It's like, okay, like keep it in your little secret club. It's like a little boys club, like out in the treehouse, right?
New Yorker, but born in New York. Okay, that's fine. Congratulations. You came close to living in the greatest city in the world. Okay, that's awesome. But I wouldn't, say categorically that when I think of Stacy Herbert, I think, oh yeah, New Yorker.
Yeah, but nevertheless, because the Wall Street Journal you're allowed to link to that on Wikipedia, it's verified fact that I'm a New Yorker. You can't disagree anymore because you don't have the authority to disagree because you're not the Wall Street Journal. So now technically I am a New Yorker, and it's like permanent. It's going to be permanent now in the digital record.
The Wall Street Journal is, of course, the house rag for a bunch of plutocrats on Wall Street engaging in massive fraud on a minute-by-minute basis, whose credibility, especially since being purchased by Rupert Murdoch, has gone down to below sewer levels.
But still, like it is, if it's the Wall Street rag, like why do they write New Yorker like it's an accent? They're two fucking New Yorkers. Like, sorry about the swearing, but
okay, so maybe you are a New Yorker. We'll say, look, all you need to be a New Yorker is a favorite pizza spot.
A lot of good stuff is about to happen in El Salvador, including this is for soundproofing. I know, like, you see how nice the audio is going to get. It's like going to be no echo.
Wow.
We're gonna have to create like hats. We're gonna have to have like we're gonna have like some sort of special soundproof hat, echo proof the room.
What's
right?
that show where the people,
acoustics,
the chicks are all like nuns from colonial America, and they walk around to get.
It was. I don't like that. The Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale.
It's too bleak. I don't like that whole thing.
Okay, how about this? You look like the flying nun from that show.
Sure, why not?
That's much more upbeat.
Yeah, I like the volcano blonde, that meme that Cecilia created of me with that fake Pope jacket. Like, I look very Finnish, right? And it makes sense to walk around near a volcano in the tropics if you're Finnish.